welcome to Dysfunctional Dialogue. I have with me here today Keel O'Connell, who I have not seen in decades. We went to high school together. We bumped into each other once since then, just about maybe, I don't even know, several years after high school. And we have not talked to each other.
You forget. So we bumped into each other at the concert in New York.
Yeah.
We also bumped into each other at the Garden State Plaza about
Oh, come on. I don't
15
remember.
years ago. Yeah, it was brief. I was walking in, you were walking out, something like that. We were on the parking deck.
God, I have no recollection of that at all. That's so weird. I don't recall that. But hey, going back all the way, so I mean, high school, we could talk about some of those things then. We also grew up in the same area. One of my favorite stories from high school had to do with your cousin.
Okay.
Your cousin Dan. And I hope that Dan doesn't mind me saying this. I'd imagine not. You could ask him afterwards. We were in Mr. Dooley's class. You remember the history teacher, Mr. Dooley?
Yeah.
The guy was like super old. People were like throwing pennies under his door and playing all these tricks on him and stuff like that. And he was just kind of playing it out at the end. But it was a Catholic high school, so you literally had people getting punished in ways that you really should not do, right? And one thing that this guy did was he made kids kneel on pencils, right? Your cousin I forget what he did or what happened, but he got in trouble. And Mr. Dooley said to him, "That's it. Get some pencils out right now. You're kneeling on pencils." And what does your cousin do? He goes, "Look, can I come up and talk to you?" And he goes up and talks to him, whispers in his ear, and Mr. Dooley goes, "Oh, you could just go sit down, and it's okay. Go sit down." And it turns out, I said to him after class, I'm like, "Dan, what did you say to him?" He goes, "Oh, I told him I was suffering from childhood osteoporosis, so I couldn't kneel on the pencil."
Really?
Yes. I love that story. I'm not sure he remembers that, but that cracked me up.
I'm definitely going to be asking him about that in the next.
Well, you have to, because I want if I'm going to broadcast this, I want his okay that I tell that story. I can't imagine there being an issue with that. But that's I love that story about him. There was a couple other stories with him as well. He's doing good though.
Yeah, he lives in Hawaii. He's an engineer. He has his own company.
I heard he was working on the telescope for a while there in Hawaii.
Top of Mount Haleakala, there's some honeycomb special telescope. Yeah, he does stuff that most people don't even know exist. I know he communicates with space shuttles.
Cool.
And he's got his own company where he does laser shows and stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Dan. I was always a big fan of Dan. Dan was always really cool. Liked him a lot.
He's very, very into his engineering and science. And
good. There's another story, and now this story he might not want me to tell, but I'm going to tell you because it's classic. We had a teacher. The guy just lost the class. I mean, it was mayhem in there constantly. The things that were going on. I remember one guy was smoking pot in the back of the class and blowing out the window. Swear to God. Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure a couple guys were doing lines in that. Lines in that class. There was another time that
I could believe somebody could get away with
the lines, but the pot, exactly. No, it wasn't. It reeked in there.
I believe that's hyperbole. I believe that's
no, it's not. It's not. This guy was clueless. He was clueless. And there was one time we actually had a bit of a revolt where we were taking apart our desks and bringing them up and dropping them by the front of the class, by his desk, and then going back. And then someone else to go up. It was probably about a dozen of us. But anyway, the story I wanted to tell about Dan. So I think that I was the one who distracted the teacher. So we planned this ahead of time. And after class was over, the teacher walked outside to the lobby area. And Dan stayed inside while I kept the teacher facing away from the classroom. And Dan got a hold of the test. We ended up passing out to everyone. Everyone in the class got like high 90s on that test.
Really?
Yeah.
I never had such luck in my chemistry classes.
Well, you didn't have me and Dan in your class.
No, I didn't. I had Dybel. I had Dybel for chemistry. I had Murphy for biology. And I had...
Was Murphy a Spanish teacher?
So there were... No. It was Riley.
Riley, biology. Oh, my God. That
Okay.
teacher was something
Right.
else.
Right.
We would, yes, we would go,
Right.
we would go out of our way to distract him and start talking about football refereeing because then he would go on a diatribe the rest of the class, and we wouldn't have to learn about biology. Of course,
Mm.
we wouldn't learn anything though, which is a bit of a problem. But we would literally just go to him every class to try to talk about football and the blocking. Every play there's a hold on the play,
Mm.
and yet they only call the ones that are just going to matter because it's all fixed. The fix is in. Yeah, I would love to know which classes that we were in together. Did you have Father Joe Pankowski?
No.
Ah, there's a classic story
And he
with that.
died our freshman year. You know,
He
he was
he
there for
died.
like half a year, and I mean, I know he beat the living snot out of people.
He did. He
But
did.
I never. I got plenty of ass whoopings from Pud's game, um, and he wasn't known as a man who hit students, but I got whacked by
Yeah,
Father
you were a
Jeffcoat.
target.
Father Jeffcoat whacked me once.
Really?
Yeah, like I say, he wasn't known for it. But
No, he
do you
wasn't.
remember our freshman year, St. Patrick's Day? There was like over 50% absent,
I don't remember that. That's pretty funny.
and
Maybe I was absent.
well, this is the thing. I told my mother that Irish kids were allowed to be absent because Italian kids could be out on Columbus Day, and Irish kids were allowed to be out on St. Patrick's
That's
Day.
a great scam.
And she believed me. And my mother and my brother, I got six brothers. It was six of us, brothers and
Oh
sisters.
shit! Really?
We all went into the parade together.
Oh, nice.
Dan, on the other hand, didn't. His parents weren't buying any of that. But I don't know if you knew that Dan's brother was a senior the year we were freshmen.
I didn't know that. No.
So Dan's brother drove to school, dropped Dan off, and then turned around and drove into New York City with a couple of his friends from senior class Moscow. Anyway, one of the kids ends up getting attacked by a bottle. They end up in the emergency room. They don't get away with it at all.
Oh man, no kidding.
Anyway, the following day, school's absolutely livid about you can't have
Yeah.
over 50% of the student
No,
body
that's a
cut in
problem. Yeah.
class. And I think it was one of the worst years for public drunkenness at the parade. There were reports about it on the
Really?
news. Yeah, it was really,
And it
really
was
bad.
all you guys. It was all you guys.
No, I was with my mother. But just in general, that year was exceptionally bad. Anybody who was absent needs to come down and pick up a letter from the attendance office, take home and have your parents sign it, because they were convinced that people would cut school and their parents didn't know. And there were, I think, the vast majority of people standing online were going, "Oh shit, I got to
Yeah.
take this home and tell my parents I cut school." I'm standing there thinking, I went with my mother. I'm laughing, right? So I get the note and I turn around. I think Chris Howard, who said, "What's it say?" And I said, "I don't know. I was with my mother. I'm okay." And I feel his hand smack me in the back, and I get out of here and get back to class. My neck hurts for a week.
Oh shoot!
It was Father Jeffcoat was absolutely livid. Here they're trying to reimpose a degree of discipline, and I was unfazed by the whole threat.
Yeah,
I'm sure that most of the people were in trouble. I know my cousin was in trouble, Dan's older brother. The kid he was with, he was also a Don Bosco student, and he was in the hospital with deep stitches in his face. He'd been attacked by somebody with a bottle.
oh shoot! Oh man!
Well, they were there for
Yeah.
drunken mayhem.
Right. Yeah. So probably would have been wise for them to actually go to school that day rather than, you know.
Yeah,
But yeah, that Jeff Coat was. I remember him being relatively mild mannered. It's
yeah,
funny that
yeah.
you actually got whacked by him. In fact, I remember him walking in. There was this one teacher. You remember that he was actually he was a coach and gym teacher, Rosanigo.
hmm
So
He was pretty cool, actually.
he
I had
was
him.
pretty. He was pretty cool. He was pretty cool. Wait, what were you gonna say?
I do. So I had him freshman year for physical science, and do you remember Eddie Mott?
Yeah, sure.
So
I like that.
Eddie and I sat next to each other in physical science class, and we had this brother come in who was doing like his student teaching, and the guy's up there doing his demonstration lesson, whatever. He's learning to be a teacher. Eddie's in the back. He does something, Eddie's a clown, always making a
Oh
good
yeah,
joke.
yeah.
He does
Yeah, funny guy.
something. The other teaches the door and pushes him out and steps away from the door. And so Eddie's walking out to the door. As he gets to the doorway,
What happened? What happened?
as he gets to the doorway, you just see this hand come out and grabs. Eddie had one of those Bosco sweaters on, and just like it was in a cartoon.
Like a cartoon.
Yeah, and when he comes back in, his sweater's like,
Because that teacher was a big dude, man. He was a
oh
big guy.
yeah. He played. I believe he played D1 football.
I believe it. Absolutely, I believe it. So the story I was going to tell with that teacher's class was, it was that physical science class. I mean, again, the class, he lost the class. It was Wild West in there. And the teacher ended up just holding up the newspaper and putting his feet up on a desk and just let us go and be crazy and just do whatever hell we wanted to do. He gave up on us, And all of a sudden, principal shows up. The principal looks in the door, and we all went, oh. And then as the teacher lowered his newspaper to look up at the principal, a paper airplane flew right by his nose. And then he looked at the principal and then just put the paper right back up again and started reading. In other words, to say, I told you, because the principal was definitely there because he said to him, my class is unruly. There's nothing he could do about it. But the fact that it was a paper airplane flying right by his nose as he dropped his newspaper and the principal was right there was priceless.
It reminds me, do you remember freshman year? I was the one who walked around each class collecting the attendance.
Did you really? No, I don't remember that. Yeah.
So, well, now you might remember it. Do you remember I had a pair of pants that were electric yellow?
Oh, that sounds so familiar. Oh my God. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the first day I wore those pants to school, because I used to love going out. You had to wear a jacket, you had to wear a tie, you had to wear slacks.
I do remember those pants. It just came back to me. Yeah.
Color code was nothing. I had this bright yellow slacks and this like neon purple tie.
Absolutely. You always had a funky tie.
Yeah. And so anyway, as I was walking into each room, I walked into, do you remember Coach Smith? He was one of the homeroom teachers.
Yes. He was a gym teacher.
Yeah.
And I also remember him being a little nuts, frankly.
Yeah, he was a football coach. He was a little, rap. Anyway, that first day I wore the yellow pants. I walked into his classroom, and the class just went, I'm thinking, success. I walk out of the door.
I think he was my homeroom. I think I was there. I'm pretty sure he was my homeroom.
Jeff Coat walks in the classroom and screams at him, that's just what he wants. You shut your mouth.
Oh, so you were a target right there. The teachers were all talking about you right from day one, man. You definitely set yourself up for success, we'll just say.
I loved every day I was there.
I learned a lot through osmosis. I didn't realize that until afterwards, because God knows I didn't go out of my way to learn anything. But I realized later on that I ended up learning some stuff from that school.
Well, you were constantly, all of the teachers were, well-educated individuals, and they were there not for the money, but for other reasons. Did you ever have the Rock, Farrell?
Oh, I thought he was great.
Yeah, he was a Syracuse grad. Mr. O'Connor, Paul O'Connor. I've seen him a bunch.
Yeah, I had him too. I had him for Latin class freshman year.
Right.
Paul O'Connor.
I had him for Latin class freshman year.
But you were going to mention Farrell. I remember just eating that stuff up in his class. The Warren. In fact, I still have the book. It's right behind me. Warrener's Guide.
Do you have that book? I might be interested in buying that book off you.
I think I might have 3 of them. I don't know how I ended up with 3 of them.
If you've got 3 of them, you got to sell me one.
Yeah. I'll look. I'm not even sure where the one I thought I had was. I wonder if I tossed them.
I think I can see it right behind you, right above the red lantern.
Yeah, you're right. There it is. Look at you. Holy shit, that's good eyes. And there's 3 of them.
You have 3 of them. Dude, you got to sell me one of them. I'm an English teacher.
I'm selling you this one because this is the one from our class.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one we use. But that's it.
Yeah, this is it, man. Look, there it is. Homeroom I-204.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, no shit, man. That's funny. But yeah, he was a great teacher.
He was,
Yeah,
and there were a lot of people there who were, had great educations and were choosing to be there for reasons other than cash.
mm. Yeah. Paul O'Connor is a great example of that.
Yeah,
That
I
guy was
know.
brilliant. So that class, Mr. O'Connor would always allow his students, again, freshman year Latin class, to have a white blank piece of paper in front of them during testing. Now, I'm not sure what you would need that for a Latin test, but he allowed it to happen. So the night before the test,
Mm-hmm.
I ended up taking two pieces of paper. One where I wrote everything down from the test, pressing hard, and then the other one had the impression on it. So when I left it on my desk, all he saw when he walked by was a blank piece of paper. But if I tilted a little bit in the light, I was I was able to see everything. And that's though when I learned that learning is much easier when you write it. You learn through the pen because I never even had to use it. I learned it because I wrote the cheat sheets out and I never had to use it. But I just love that I did that. It's fun.
I did a similar thing, had the same effect. So coming to the final exam for the year, and like I said, I loved being at Bosco, and I was scared. Oh, if I fail, I'm going to be kicked out. Blah blah blah. So I took a matchbox. You remember the old match? I took a matchbox,
Yeah.
unfolded it, and I wrote out all the declensions and all, like, just I don't know if you've ever seen anybody. It's popular in age for people write things on the side of a piece of rice.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, like that. I'm writing everything out in microchip size,
That's
and I
awesome.
put the matchbox in my pocket. It took me like 3 hours because I had to get it all so small. I'm writing and I write out everything I need to know so that if I need to decline something or how the structure and the grammar works, stuff it in my pocket. Now I know that for the test I have to pull it out of my pocket and not get caught. I got there and I didn't have the ball, so I couldn't pull it out. But on the other hand, I spent 3 hours diligently, carefully, slowly writing out everything that I would need to
That's
do
awesome.
to figure out the answers. I got like a 90 on that test. I cruised through. It was no problem at all. Again, it took me years to click it. Oh, that's called studying.
That's called studying.
Really?
Yes.